As I've been going through the book of Job from the Hebrew text, we now come to the second speech of Eliphaz in chapter 15, 1 to verse 35. In keeping with Eliphaz's more dignified character, he rebukes Job for his irreverence in the first 6 verses. Then he condemns him as presumptuous in confiding in his own wisdom, verses 7 to 16. And then he concludes his speech by setting forth the destruction that overtakes the wicked in verses 17 to 35. So in 1 to 6 of this chapter, Eliphaz then will begin by attacking Job's speeches as irreligious, showing no fear of God. To Eliphaz, his mouth becomes his condemnation. And so we begin, Vaya'an Eliphaz ha-Temani vayomer. And Eliphaz answered the Temanite and said, Vaya'an is the cow imperfect third masculine singular from the root anah, to answer. And so now we see his second speech. Echacham ya'aneh da'at ruach v'malei kadim bitno. Here's a question. Should a wise man answer a word of wind, like a windy word that you've sent, Job, that you've said? Vimale kadim bitno, and fill his belly with the east wind. We have the interrogative hey beginning the question, Chacham, a wise man, Ya'aneh, should a wise man answer? He's implying he's a wise man. Ya'aneh is the cow imperfect third masculine singular from anah. The word of wind, literally, da'at, or knowledge of wind, da'at ruah. In other words, we might say windy knowledge that he's accusing Job of having no value whatsoever. Vimale kadim bitno, and fill his belly with the east wind. Vimale is the PL imperfect third masculine singular from malah, to fill, with a vav consecutive, and fill his belly with the east wind. The thought here is basically that Job had claimed to be wise in chapter 12, verse 3 and 13:2. Instead, his words are only like the wind, Eliphaz is saying, empty of substance. His words are like the eastern sirocco wind, the scorching southeastern wind, which is dreaded. It is a violent, hot wind. It is not refreshing, but devastating. Such is Job's speech, according to Eliphaz. In rebuking irony, he asks, should a man fill himself with such a wind and violently utter his words? This is what Eliphaz is accusing Job of. And then verse 3, Ohecha b'davar lo yeskon, umilim lo yo'il bam. That is, verse 3, it is should reasoning to reason, or reasoning with a word which has no use, which it is not of any use, or words which really profit. There's no profit in them. Again, he's accusing Job of worthless words. Ohecha is the cow infinitive absolute from Yahach, to reprove, and Yeskon is the cow imperfect third masculine singular from Sakan, to use. And so the way it would be translating would be something like that, reasoning with an argument which has no use. That's what you're doing, Job. And then words where there is no profit, or speeches that have no profit. Yo'il, meaning to profit, from Ya'al, to cause to profit. We have a Hiphil imperfect third masculine singular. So the words that cause no good or bring about no profit. And so what Eliphaz is saying, should a wise man reason or speak words which are totally unprofitable and of no avail? This is his argument. So he continues then in verse 4. Afata tafer yira v'tegra sicha lifnei el. Indeed, you break or destroy or break with fear, reverence for the Lord, he seems to be saying, and you diminish before God with your musing. With your musing, you are diminishing before God your reverence for him. Notice tafer is the Hiphil imperfect second masculine singular from parar, a double ayin root. So you break with, you do away or break fear. And yirah here can mean reverence for the Lord by what you've been saying. And you diminish tekra sicha with your musing before God. You diminish the reverence for the Lord. Tikra is your cow imperfect second person singular from gara, to diminish. And so what we have here in this verse is, as we said, the word fear is often used to express reverence or proper respect for God. You are diminishing that. If Job is right in saying that God does not pay attention to the afflictions of the righteous and causes the wicked to prosper, then Eliphaz can see no reason why anyone should be devoted to God. Such brash words of Job's undermine devotion to God, seems to be the argument of the text. And then in verse 5, it continues, Ki ya'alef avonecha ficha v'tivhar leshon arumim. For your iniquity teaches your mouth, and you choose the tongue of those that are crafty. Notice here, Yehalev is your PL imperfect, third person singular from alav, to teach. So you teach. That is, your iniquity teaches your mouth, only because you're filled with iniquity. V'tivhar, and your tongue chooses, or you choose the tongue of those who are crafty. Arumim. This reminds me of the Arum serpent of Genesis chapter 3. And Tivhar is the cow imperfect second person singular from Bahar, to choose. So what he's really saying here, Job's own words condemn him and further prove that he is guilty before the Lord. And then finally, I'm going to conclude with verse 6 in this video. He says, Yarshiacha ficha velo ani. Your own mouth, your mouth causes you to be condemned, and not I, not me. U sefatecha ya anu vak. That is, your own lips answer against you or testify against you. Yarshiacha is from Rasha, to do wicked or to condemn, to cause to be wicked. Here we have a Hifil imperfect third masculine singular from Rasha, followed by the pronominal suffix second masculine singular in the cha. So your mouth causes you to be condemned or to be wicked, and not I, below ani. Indeed, sefatecha, your lips, sefate is the plural in construct with cha, meaning lips. Your own lips, ya anu vak, they answer against you or testify against you. Cow imperfect third common or third masculine plural from ana. So what we have here in this verse, if he were really a pious man, Eliphaz is saying, he would not be saying the things that he has said. So Job's own lips cause him to be condemned. So I'm going to stop there and try to make some of these a little bit shorter. Job, in the following verses, we'll see where he goes on to attack Job's presumptuous confidence in his own wisdom, condemn it in verses 7 to 16, and Eliphaz will continue to rebuke Job for insisting on his own wisdom in approaching God about his suffering. So I'm going to stop there and we'll just continue.